Perfect. So I think we are all here. We have all the panelists. Veronica, thanks so much for joining. You will see our excellent partners sharing today their inspiring stories. So I think we are ready to start. So let's then, let me give the floor to David and we go live, correct?
Yes, we are. So thank you very much, Adriana. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to you all from Nairobi. It gives me great joy to welcome you to this official launch of our final report after a successful closure of our beloved project, which is the Global Opportunities for Sustainable Development Goals, which we call GO4SDGS. So really excited that you could all join us today. Busy schedules. We'd like to appreciate our distinguished guests, our partners, our speakers who have joined us today. I think your commitment here is a testament to the collaboration that GO4SDGs has fostered. My name is David Rubia, and for the last 4 or so years, I've had the honor to have been the GO4SDGs implementation coordinator in Africa. So the purpose of today's meeting is to reflect together on GO4SDG's journey, where we can celebrate our collective achievements, we can share on our valuable lessons learned along the way. But for me, perhaps most importantly, is look to the future. And I say with great humility, a future we hope to have inspired with our work. But don't take it from me. We don't be us talking. It gives me really good joy that you wouldn't be hearing to myself and Adriana talking. No, you'll be hearing it from these 2 lovely sessions we've put together from our partners who will be touching in rapid fire style on different aspects of the work that they've put together under GO4SDGs. The 2 sessions, one will be on scaling up finance and economic transformation, and the second will be advancing SDGs in the high impact sectors, the Sustainable Development Goals. So once again, thank you for being here. We encourage you to participate through the chat. We have an active chat facility where we'd like to hear from you, your reflections, any questions you have for the speakers. Feel free to reach out to us through that. But without much further ado, let's kick things off. We're excited and honored to have with us our main donor and partner, the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Climate Action, Nature Conservation, and Nuclear Safety, BUKN. And it's a really great honor for me to invite Ms. Veronica Tomei, who's the Commissioner for the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development at BMUKN, to provide her remarks. Veronica, if your mic is still working, you have the floor. Thanks.
Thank you so much, David. And I think I can only echo you. I'm likewise so happy and so excited to be here with you, and also very, very grateful because I think that there were some adjustment to the agenda so that I could attend. So thank you very much for that. I really wanted to be there, and if we had done it an hour earlier, then it would have been impossible for me. So thank you so much. And why do I want to be here? Well, because I'm really a great fan of our GO4SDGs project, which is so much more than a project, and where maybe before I do anything else, I really have to congratulate, highlight, commemorate, I don't know what else, stress Adriana's relentlessly energy to really put this common endeavor on the UN map and on the institutional map. I think, well, all of you know her, so everybody knows that you can't simply resist this energy. And I think this was really a very decisive driving force for the project. I was not there when we started, when we kicked off the process. I knew it from outside, but I was not amongst those who have initiated that. But even when I knew it only from the outside, I thought that it was an excellent name choice. Because with this common endeavor, we focus on the opportunities that the 2030 implementation, that the 2030 agenda implementation gives us. So it's not the O from obligations. It's not something that, okay, we have all committed to and now we drag our feet and have to just kind of imply it in a bureaucratic manner. Now we seize it as a common agenda. We seize it and we see and we check where it provides us with opportunities, maybe also on debates that are not new, because we have been focusing on green economy, on green jobs, on the importance of youth. We had been, of course, already been focusing before, but to combine this, the 2030 agenda with a new impetus and with this focus that GO4SDGs has chosen to connect the regional approach with a national implementation approach, I think this was the new element, or this is still the new element. And of course, I said I was not there at the beginning, but for the last 3 years, I have been following what has been going on. And I think what is a further aspect that is very special about this project, besides the energy and besides the good name and besides the regional and national approach, is that Adriana, David, you others, Elisa, of course, sorry, Elisa, see you now. You have managed to, I said before, you have planted the project on the map. So what you have done is you have done excellent communication and networking work, which is not just a marketing factor. So it's always good to do good and to talk about it. But in this case, it is particularly relevant for the sustainability of the project. But because I think I would say the key element or the essence of GO4SDGs is really connecting the dots and bringing the relevant actors together, matching needs, opportunities, financing, and then go away from the actions, from the words, and go into action. That's really, for me, the essence of GO4SDGs. And this is only possible if you build up networks and if you rely on them. And I've seen Jorge already on the screen. So I know that 10YFP will be kind of carrying on or continuing the work of GO4SDGs. And I think there is no better complement for a project that comes to its end than knowing already that there are so many actors that are so convinced of the added value of the project that they really want to embed it in their own activities. And I think as a final word, and that there I liaise from the networking work, what I always liked about GO4SDGs, and we saw that in particular also at last UNEA, is Adriana, colleagues, you have managed to combine the action on the ground with also political messages, and that are then also being brought forward and that have found yet another layer of colleagues, of partners that are then also striving, for instance, for circularity approaches in a high impact sector that see where the opportunities lay, also particularly for the younger generations, and that bring the particular regional focus from Latin America, from Central Asia, from Africa into this common endeavor. So I could go on and on and on, but I think those are the key elements that for me are really characteristic and where I am completely confident. David, you said that you don't want to focus that much on the past. I had to value the past, but those elements are really those that make me very, very confident that there's certainly a future to be followed up, and that we will see all those GO4SDGS networks, incentives, and etc. being picked up by all those great partners that you have so well embedded. So I hope it was not too long, but in German we said, Ehre wem Ehre gebührt, so honor to those who deserve it. That was my way of really sharing my deep, deep, deep appreciation, and thank you so much for all the work and energy that has gone into the project. And I'm extremely looking forward to the exchange that we're going to have now, or to the presentations that we hear from the panel. And I've got my big block here, and I will be taking notes. So thank you very much.
Danke schön, Veronica. You did. It was not long enough. You've touched on everything, all the things that we've talked about. You know, sustainability. I was writing notes frantically here. You know, and then also how we've combined action with the global conversation to ensure that this is part of the narratives going forward. I mean, I could just rehash everything you said, but I'll say simply thank you so much for your support. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for understanding us. And thank you so much for being here also. Really, really, I mean, this is one of those where we can say truly, without your support, none of this would have been possible. So with that, and also picking up from one of the things that Veronica said about Adriana's energy, something that I'm sure you all have had is that it's often said, behind every successful team or behind every successful boss is a great team. But what you may not have had, and frankly, sometimes is often forgotten, is that behind every great boss, there is also always another great boss. And in this regard, GO4SDGs was very lucky to have had Elisa Tonda, who's the chief of the resources and markets branch at UNEP, quietly guiding and inspiring us through Adriana. So it is with great joy that I invite Elisa to finally step into the GO4SDGs light and share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. You're making me blush. And what is particularly interesting is that, Veronica, we have not compared notes before our conversation, but it looks like we have done so, because we are so much aligned in the way in which we're thinking of the project and what it has achieved. So let me start by welcoming everybody to the GO4SDGs closing meeting, and a good day to everybody from wherever you are connecting. It is indeed a moment of celebration, as Veronica was saying, a celebration of the collaboration that GO4SDG set, the innovation in the approach that it took forward, and the impact it achieved. And as David was reminding us, on behalf of UNEP and on behalf of the GO4SDGs team, let me really stress our gratitude to BMUV, the Federal Ministry for Environment, Nature Conservation, Nuclear Safety and Consumer Protection of Germany, and Veronica, in particular to yourself and to your team, because you have trusted us, because you have taken us through this journey guided by your political leadership, and because you have generously supported us in this endeavor to come to the point of really talking about the successes and what has been achieved from 2020, when this project was launched, until now. Launched very much with the understanding that it should be a way to accelerate SDGs in general, but very particularly to see opportunities of accelerating progress on SDG 12, on sustainable consumption and production, and on SDG 8, on decent work and economic growth. And really understanding how particularly inclusive, low carbon and circular economic approaches could be fundamental in the transformation. And Veronica, you used some expressions that I very much hear the team repeating in many instances as the two core missions that GO4SDG has helped us achieve. One being around connecting the dots, creating synergies, creating collaboration, avoiding duplications. And the second one being having a strong focus on implementation and action. What Adriana kept on repeating throughout the journey of implementing the project was that GO4SDGs was not there to create new tools, new guidelines, new manuals. Actually not. It was very much focusing on action, bringing whatever solutions already existed on the ground, and doing so with the strategic partners that have joined us in the journey. The 10YFP, GGKP, the Green Growth Knowledge Partnership, the colleagues from ILO, in general, the colleagues from UNEP and the UNEP Finance Initiative. And it helped us move the needle on a number of contexts. It helped us create partnership that really engaged with countries and transformed the situation in countries. Just to mention some of the partnership, the Sustainable Food System of the One Planet Network, together with RAP, working with regional working groups in countries, in institutions, and helping 16 countries developing their national food waste reduction strategies. Sustainable tourism work having helped raise ambition and develop harmonized standard for Africa, for Central Asia. Having a strong focus on those change makers that exist on the ground, particularly small and medium-sized enterprises through the SMEs innovation labs and the IGO tool that have been developed as a collaboration between SEED and GGKP, and these having supported more than 1,200 SMEs conducting their self-assessment on resource efficiency on the ground. Creating communities of practice, particularly on lifestyle with the Sustainable Fashion Academy in West Asia, the Sustainable Lifestyle University Network in Central Asia, and putting the, let's say, the elements that also helped the specific subject of lifestyles becoming a pretty important issue for discussion at UNEA 6. Obviously helping create the business case for specific value chains to shift towards sustainability, including the work on SMEs financing in Kenya for the dairy and textile value chain, advancing circularity conversations in a global setting and in regional settings with close collaboration with the African Circular Economy Alliance, with the LAC Circular Economy Coalition, and with UNEP that has been doing quite a lot of tailored work on financial mechanism for circularity. So a lot of very tangible successes in both action on the ground and in connecting the dots. This leads me also to a reflection that, Veronica, you have alluded to, that GO4SDGs played a very important role in elevating on the global stage youth voices. And this goes from the support that GO4SDGs provided to the process of preparation, but also the activities that unfolded in Stockholm Plus 50. So Adriana and team have been supporting 5 regional multi-stakeholder consultations that brought together thousands of participants. But what I particularly want to single out is that one of the legacies initiative that was approved at Stockholm Plus 50 was actually the launch of the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, an interagency partnership between UNEP, ILO, and UNICEF, which is one of those legacy initiatives that also GO4SDGs is going to leave as an important milestone to be taken forward. And again, at the Summit of the Future, GO4SDGs supported the Youth Forum on the Future of the Environment as a side event that again brought conversation and voices around youth very much at the center of the stage. And all of these could not be delivered unless that effort of building partnership and collaboration, which has been in the DNA of Adriana and very much everybody in the team, had not been in full force throughout the implementation of Go4SDGs. And our thanks actually go to everybody who has agreed to really join hands under the flag, I would say, of Go4SDGs in the context of the project. Veronica, to yourself and the government of Germany for having generously supported everything that happened within Go4SDGs, but also to all the partners that agreed to join hands in the initiative, from the global partners such as the 10YFP partners in ILO, GGKP, the Hot or Cold Institute, SEED, RAP, UNICEF, the UNEP Finance Initiative, the UN System Staff College, and to the regional and national partners that have been working with us in implementing the activities on the ground in the regional context, from our partners in our USA to Ecotourism Kenya and the Kenya Tourism Federation, to Jacob's Ladder Africa, to the Hilton Hotel, to the ESG Central Asia, to the Kazakh-German University, the Asian Institute of Technology, to Massive Earth Foundation. Really a deep thank to all of you and to all the partners, all the stakeholders and all the supporters that in one way or the other have been joining hands with Go4SDGs, and their story, their successes, their results are actually very clearly reflected in the Go4SDGs final report, whose link you have seen in the chat. A thank is for everything you have done so far, but also a thank because we know that whatever legacy has been developed in the context of Go4SDGs is now in safe hands for these to go further and to create more successes. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing directly from the voices of the partner, their experiences and their successes so far. Thank you all for being with us today and celebrating the successes of Go4SDGs. And David, back to you.
Thank you so much, Elisa. You are now making me blush listening to you talk about all the things that Go4SDGs was able to accomplish. You actually got me a bit choked up. I won't try and recap what you've said, but that was a lot that you've been able to capture. I think for me, it harks back to what Veronica talked about: build networks and rely on them. And which, just sitting here listening to you, made me remember a Swahili saying, a short one: tenda mema nenda zako, do good and be gone, be on your way. So in a way, Go4SDGs has been here, has done good, and today is going to talk about that and let the rest of the partners carry on. With that, so our last speaker, I'd like to say, if Go4SDGs was a rowing team, our next speaker, Adriana, was without a doubt the drummer, always constantly setting the pace, the course, and the rhythm of our work. I think it's just in case this slips through the cracks, I'd like to take this opportunity when I still have the mic to thank Adriana for her focus, her drive, her leadership, her energy. Veronica, you touched on that. And it's something that for sure was instrumental to our journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Adriana Zacarias-Farah, Global Coordinator of Go4SDGs, to touch on key accomplishments of the project. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Look at my smile. You make me very happy. And Veronica, Lisa, thanks so much for your remarks and kind words. I'm so happy to be here. I have to confess, I was hesitating. Shall we do the closing event or not? Is maybe already too late? And both of you, Elisa and Veronica, you convinced me. Elisa, you say, no, we need to really celebrate and hand this over. And Veronica, I was happy when you say, no, I want this meeting. And I think it's very important to celebrate our collective work, the achievements, and also to say that even if we finished a few months ago, the work continues. And I think that's very important and shows just what you were saying, Veronica, that the network that we have built have ownership and are driving now also by the partners. So I'm happy to say that. I have prepared a very short presentation that I just really want to share with you, with really few reflections on why was this possible. So Madina, if you can share, help me with the PowerPoint. And just to say how honored I was really to having led this initiative for the 4.5 years with such an incredible team and an amazing energy, as you will see. I mean, the energy I have, I think, resonates with my team and is the team also and all the partners that make this possible. So what I want, next slide, is really to say where and how did we start? No, as you were saying, and in Germany, many partners, we are back in 2020, you know, when we really wanted to have this push for the implementation of SDGs. I want to remind you a few months before COVID, because this was initiated before, but then COVID hit us. And I think the relevance of GO4SDGS was even bigger. Our model was very clear. Scale up regional capacities and solutions for the implementation of SDGs. And our mission was, as Veronica and Elisa have said, is to connect the dots. But how? Bringing global partnerships and connect them to regional priorities and initiatives so that we can deliver together better at the national level. And that's how we were working in the 3 levels. Initially, as you can see on the screen, we started this initiative with 8 strategic partners, the One Planet Network, the Green Growth Partnership Page, ILO, SEED, UNDP, the World Economic Forum, and of course UNEP. And I'm happy to say that this network grew to over 55 implementing partners. But just in the beginning, when we look at all the tools that our 8 partners had, we gathered more than 200 different tools. Tools that had policy guidelines, tools that have financial or fiscal instruments, tools that have capacity development in high impact sectors, education programs, etc. So what we wanted to do there was really, as Elisa said, is avoid any new guidelines, any new tool, but rather focus on implementation. Next slide. Who was our target group? Governments, private sector, and youth. And the mission was first to support governments in policy coherence. How can we show that mainstreaming sustainable consumption and production and circular economy was good for their economy, was good for national climate change, for the biodiversity, etc. So that was the first thing. How can we align and mainstream SCP in the policy at the national, regional level? Second, private sector with a specific focus on SMEs. And again, COVID-19 hit, and it was very important to focus on SMEs. So here was, how can we equip them better to have access to more finance, more innovation for circularity? And as Elisa said, key partners here was SEED and GGKP in providing capacity development, UNEP FI as well. And then youth. Youth as a very important group, and how can we help them to embrace sustainable lifestyles? Next slide. And I'm really happy to say that at the beginning, okay, the first years, we have many different priorities and we were like trying to address 10 different sectors. But over the years, we managed to narrow GO4SDGs to 6 key areas, what we call our 6 flagship initiatives. Green Jobs for Youth, and you have heard, and Legacy Initiative Stockholm. I'm very grateful with the partnership of ILO and UNICEF, and you will hear from Dorte and Sela from Africa, what we have done here. We work there in 5 regions. Then looking at circularity in key sectors in the food. And again, working with the 10YP, bringing the knowledge of GRAP. How can we then build the capacity at the regional level for countries to measure food waste and to reduce food waste? That is important, as you know, the SDG 12.3. So you will hear also from GRAP, from Hugh and Nikki, very important, interesting initiatives and inspiring. Tourism. Tourism is a key sector in many countries, in many continents, as Africa, Central Asia is a driver for economy and jobs, but is also has a huge impact on environment and if we improve sustainability, we can also improve. If we improve tourism, we can improve sustainability. So we were working on that, and you will hear also in the next sessions about that. And then, yeah, of course, we work on the textiles as well with the Sustainable Fashion Academy in West Asia. Finance was key. And I think here what was essential was, first of all, to bring the tools that UNEP was developing and connecting them to regional platforms as the Coalition for Circular Economy in Latin America and the one in Africa, and start looking at what are the tailored solutions for financing mechanism in the different realities. And here you will hear from Mabel how then it will really unfold in developing regional mechanism, but also national capacity. And well, of course, there will not be change. We will not change anything if we don't change behavior and we don't empower youth. And that's why the other one that you will be hearing from Luis and Talita. Next one. I'm happy, Veronica and colleagues, to show our impact. And Marina, if we move to the next slide, in numbers. No, you need to go back. No. Okay, yes, excellent. I'm happy to say we have met all the indicators and exceeded them. Go to the slide on the numbers. We started, as I say, with the 5 strategic partners, and that network was expanded with 55 regional implementing partners. We did many global events, but as Veronica and Elisa have mentioned, that help us to lift this agenda in the international agenda. Regional events, South-South cooperation, training capacity. I'm happy to say that this has provided technical support to 61 countries. We have supported SMEs, as Elisa mentioned. Over 1,200 have done their self-assessment, and we brought more financial institutions. What I want to say is that together with our partners, we developed new trainings using the tools they have. We managed to give modules and training to young people. We trained more than 4,000 young entrepreneurs in green skills for jobs. And we also trained young people on sustainable lifestyles, over 7,000. Next slide. And I'm going to stop here to say you will find all this fantastic work in our report that today we are launching. And Veronica, last time we met in UNEA, you told me, Adriana, I want you to give me the best practices. How did you do that? Document that. So colleagues, here in the 3rd chapter, you will see those practices at the regional level, how we did it, with whom, and I hope this will be an inspiration for all of you. My last slide, really to recap, and I've been reflecting, what made this possible? First, we started with a bottom-up approach. It was really about responding to regional priorities, listening and seeing what were the needs, but also where were those key changers, game changers, initiatives already emerging that just needed a lift to make a bigger impact. Second, connecting the dots, you all have said that. Sometimes I have to say, you become like invisible link when you are doing this connection, because people don't see you, but it takes time to identify synergies, to build trust, to identify then how different partners can come together. So that, I have to say, it was not an easy task, and in that I'm very grateful with my team that I think we were able to build that trust and that cooperation, to be open, in an environment that sometimes people prefer to work in silos. And we were all open to add logos, open to bring different people. So that was very important. But the third element is the glue. And what do I mean with the glue? Yes, we can identify synergies, and yes, there will be willingness to work. But if you don't have this additional 50,000 or this additional 100,000 that will allow you to implement, or you don't have that new pair of hands or brains of people that will help in connecting, we won't be able to do that. And I think that, Veronica, was very crucial. We were providing that glue that allowed that partnership to flourish. Peer-to-peer. And it was GO4SDGS was not about national implementation, it was regional. But we wanted to have champion countries that will inspire the others and say, oh, okay, I will raise my ambition. And then the other countries started to do what we call the positive competition, right? So that was about the peer-to-peer ownership. And I think you, Lisa and Veronica, have said, I'm very happy that we are closing knowing that the legacy initiatives will continue. Why? Because we gave ownership since the very beginning. And I'm so grateful to have partners who are really, truly committed in continuing this work. And I'm sure they will do. And I'm just looking at the time. I want to be here a little faster, but yeah, bringing the knowledge into action. We launched GO4SDGs with the International Resources Panel, and the panel was providing the scientific evidence on why this change was needed. And we brought the IGO with the tool that will help, or UNEP with the scientific and proven tools to do the life cycle assessment. So knowledge was there, but then inspiring the action. Providing the business case, and I'm sure you will hear from Nikki how with the hotel industry, Hilton has made the case that reducing food waste has a business case. And then the other thing was also this application that we were talking is also about synergies in the UN system. The green jobs for youth, there's no way UNEP will have work on that without ILO. So that was very important to bring the mandate of different initiatives, to work with the UN country teams and with other agencies as UNDP for the Stockholm Plus 50, UNICEF, etc. And the last and not least, key characteristic is that GO4SDGs, we have presence in each of our regional offices. My team, we were in different locations. Actually, I have to say, thanks to or because of COVID, we never met in person except only once. But we never really felt this distance. And I really want, again, just to honor all my team. Thomas, David, Medina, John Rang, Helen, Alan, Lourdes, all of you who are here. I'm sure I forgot some names, but you know how much and how grateful I am to your work. So with this, thank you so very much. And let's continue further for the SDGs. Back to you, David.
Thank you very much, Adriana. And for sure, if they doubted what we meant when we said the energy, I'm sure they felt the energy in the room. Thank you so much for that recap. I'll quickly hand over to my colleague, Thomas de Klerk, who took over Beatrice as the coordinator for GO4SDGs in Latin America and Caribbean. He's going to take us through session 1, which is advancing circularity and financial economic transformation in SMEs through circularity and green jobs. Thomas, if you can hear me, you have the mic. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to the first panel of today with the GO4SDGs partners. Indeed, the session will focus on scaling of finance, economic transformation, with this key 3 thematics, green jobs, circularity, and SMEs. And for each of those thematics, we have 2 panelists, because this panel composition also really aims to reflect this GO4SDGs core approach, with the first panelist showing how GO4SDGs has connected global initiatives with regional priorities, is connecting the dots, as was now mentioned many times. And then the second panelist representing an organization that has scaled up this proven solution on the ground. So let's begin with that, and let's begin with the Green Jobs for Youth Pact, which was also already mentioned a few times. So kindly asking to turn on the cameras and the mics of the first 2 panelists. A warm welcome to Dorothea Schmidt-Klau and to Sela Bogongo. Dorothea, you are the first speaker, and you're the Chief of Employment, Labor Markets and Youth Branch at the ILO's Employment and Policy Department. So I would like to ask you from ILO's perspective, really, could you share how the Green Jobs for Youth Pact partnership came about, as well as the lessons learned and the next steps as well, from this GO4SDGs collaboration. So very much over to you, Dorothea, if you can hear us. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon, colleagues and partners and friends. It is a great pleasure to be with you today and to reflect on the collaboration that has not only delivered measurable results, but also stands out as a compelling model for the future. The partnership between the Green Jobs for Youth Pact and the GO4SDGS initiative is really very unique. And this partnership really goes beyond programmatic alignment. It is a strategic convergence of values, of priorities, and of actions. It brings together the ILO's commitment to produce employment and decent work for youth, UNEP's leadership in environmental sustainability, and UNICEF's innovations on youth empowerment, and Germany's important support for multilateralism and climate justice. Together, we have shown that the green transition can be a powerful engine for inclusive growth, decent job creation, and skills development, especially for young people. I know we all know the urgency, but let me emphasize the urgency once again. Young people today face multiple crises. Who of us would want to be a young person in today's world? With climate change and decent work deficits for young people being two of the most important ones. In fact, a recent global survey about Gen Z revealed that their top personal worries and concerns is climate change and joblessness. These are not abstract terms. These are not abstract fears. These are the reality that the young people in today's world have to live everywhere on this planet. The Green Jobs for Youth Pact was created in 2022 to address both these issues simultaneously. It is a bold initiative with ambitious goals. As you might know, we want to create 1 million new green jobs, to green 1 million existing jobs, and to support 10,000 young green entrepreneurs. But beyond the numbers, it is about transforming systems, and it's about transforming thinking, so that young people are not just beneficiaries of green transitions, but they are the driving force behind it. That's why the pact focused on 3 pillars, which is employment and entrepreneurship, and environmental education and skills, and youth empowerment and engagement. The partnership between the GO4SDGS and the pact has turned global ambition into local action, empowering multiple stakeholders along the way and across sectors, from policymakers and SMEs to young change makers and civil society organizations. The Green Jobs for Youth Pact joined the GO4SDGs ecosystem as a natural ally. Together, we have advanced green jobs in high-impact sectors like food systems, tourism, and the circular economy. As you can imagine, for us, the ILO, our aim is to ensure that the jobs created and improve, that we create jobs that are good jobs, decent jobs. And we have reached this goal through this collaboration. And we really insist on the focus on the green economy having the potential to create good jobs. To make this a reality, we drew on international labor standards, comprehensive gender-responsive employment policy frameworks, and the transformative power of social dialogue. Together, under the pact, we have brought the voices of youth to global platforms, as we already heard, including at the Stockholm Plus 50, various UN climate change conferences, the last conference of the UN Convention to combat desertification, and the 2024 Summit of the Future. Their voices and active participation have been key to ensure the relevance and validity of our actions and an intergenerational approach in our efforts to foster a just transition. Additionally, the pact created a vibrant youth advisory group that guided our work and will continue to do so. This collaboration has been impactful, inclusive, and innovative. It has demonstrated that when we connect the dots across sectors and actors and institutions, we can accelerate the just transition in ways that are both equitable and scalable. Young people already are leading when it comes to climate action. They are driving social innovation, and they are demanding, and rightly so, inclusive growth. But they need our support. We have promoted curricular reform to foster environmental education and create green skills, and we supported youth-led enterprises. We have also worked to close the gender gaps, recognizing that young women face a double disadvantage. They are young and they are women. So far, women have not profited from green jobs as much as men have, making greening of economies yet another driver of change that favors men. The ILO has close collaborations with Germany in many different areas. Let me give two examples. One is the Hamburg Sustainability Conference, where the ILO collaborated with BMZ and GIZ and other institutions on just transitions. And one standout young advocate for women and youth rights, Malet, some of you might have met her, demonstrated the impact of our partnership by showcasing how impactful youth engagement can be. Young women like Malet exemplify how our efforts supported by Germany can drive the green transition and create a sustainable future, not only for, but with young people. The second one I want to mention is the Global Accelerator for Jobs and Social Protection that gets very strong support from Germany because Germany has well understood that to have an impact on people's lives, you really need to tackle the issue of social protection and decent jobs simultaneously at the same time and through a whole of society approach. In the broad landscape of support, Germany has been a steadfast supporter of both the GO4SDGS and our pact. The investment of Germany has enabled us to pilot innovative approaches, building institutional capacity, and generate evidence on what works. Amongst many other innovations, the pact is implementing a successful UNDA-funded project in Cuba, Madagascar, and Senegal on capacity building, and will launch a pilot Green Jobs for Youth Academy in Latin America later this year. And most importantly, your support, the support of Germany, has helped us build trust with youth, with governments, and with our partners. That trust is the foundation for scaling up. As we look to the future, we see enormous potential to replicate and expand this model. And this is important because our research shows that with the right investment in policies, up to 8.4 million additional green jobs for youth could be created by 2030. The GO4SDGs offer a ready-made platform for scaling. The pact offers a tested framework for action. And the ILO stands ready to continue this journey with Germany as a key partner. The just transition is not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is our best chance to address the climate change while creating decent work for the next generation. The Green Jobs for Youth Pact and the GO4SDGs initiative have shown what is possible when we work together. Now is the time to build on that momentum and scale up future and current initiatives. Let us invest in the future of work that is green, decent, and inclusive. Let us empower young people, not just to find jobs, but to shape the jobs of tomorrow. And let us do it together with urgency, with ambition, and with hope. And let me close by thanking everybody who was involved from both sides, from the GO4SDG side and from the PACTS team. You've done a brilliant job, and we promise to continue doing the work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Dorothy, for that message of hope and the trust also, of course, no, as you mentioned in our partnership. So thank you very much for that. It's also really encouraging to hear how the ILO is really further building this momentum, not to your convening power with all the partners, really for the first time filling this gap in the international policy arena, no, as you also mentioned. So very much appreciate again your leadership, ILO, and on top, as you mentioned, not something that only one of us can do alone, and that's why it's really interesting now and inspiring that we will hear from one of our champions on the ground who are really making this a reality. So welcome, Sala, for this. Sala Bogonko, you're the co-founder and CEO of Jacob's Ladder Africa. We will first see a video of your work in Kenya with the support of GO4SDGs, and afterwards, if you then could share your thoughts on the lessons learned and the way forward. over to you first with a video which Alan, I see you have up. Let's hope the technology works. Go ahead.
In a time of global climate urgency and rising youth unemployment, Kenya stands at the threshold of transformation. A new story is being written, one rooted in collaboration, innovation, and collective action. In February 2024, at a roundtable hosted by Jacobs Data Africa, a diverse group of stakeholders came together. This was the beginning of what would become the Alliance for Greening Skills and Opportunities, AGSO. Between February and April, stakeholders met across over 28 virtual and in-person forums. More than 750 participants from 100 organizations shared their expertise and insights. This was the reality. Many actors with passion and expertise, but working in silos, each moving in different directions. AGSO emerged to bring these efforts together, to create coherence, coordination, and collective purpose. In April, stakeholders gathered in person at Strathmore University. With voices from key stakeholders, we refined the roadmap for green skills development. Momentum grew. At the high-level breakfast in April, 5 permanent secretaries and development partners pledged their support for coordinated action. On May 3rd, over 2,000 stakeholders from across 38 counties convened at the KICC. With youth at the heart, we validated findings and made firm commitments. A skills development working group was formed. To implement the commitment, 3 thematic groups were established and 30+ organizations mobilized. The stakeholder-led working group provided the roadmap for the institutionalization of AGSO. Today, with 22 member organizations in the representative board and a digital platform providing a central repository in place, AGSO is ready to lead collective, evidence-based action. The National Green Skills Gap Survey is our next step to align education with opportunity and shape policy with evidence. This is your moment to be part of the change. Together, we are stronger. Together, we are AGSO.
Thank you, Toma, and thank you, Madam Veronica and Adriana. And thank you to the team for the opportunity to be able to present what our joint efforts have been able to produce. I'll just focus on the lessons learned and the way forward, and then give an example of what we've been able to, the impact that this has had. Some of the lessons learned throughout this process, as you have seen from the video, are we had to build consensus and take time to make sure that we have gained support from the different stakeholders that were part of it. And this really did take time to be able to build trust, because people, like you saw in the video, there are people working in silos in different directions towards the same goal. And so harmonizing all that into one direction has taken quite a bit of time, but it's been very successful. We had to define the problem clearly so that everyone feels and identifies that that's the same problem that they want to address. And for us, that problem was policy cohesion. Engaging the young people was very critical to make sure that they have their buy-in, or we have their buy-in rather, and also making sure that the process is not owned by a team that's driving it, but it's owned by the members themselves. And we achieved that by making sure that the groups were driven by the members, and that the different thematic working groups or the different initiatives, whether it was sourcing for experts, they were all coming from the members who had volunteered to be part of this. And it continued to grow just by word of knowledge, because no one wants to be left behind. We needed to have dedicated funding, and this is one of the challenges that we experienced, but there was a way in which once we had the buy-in of the different stakeholders, it became a lot easier to get things moving, some even being able to volunteer in kind. Working across different sectors, getting government buy-in was one of our greatest achievements. As you saw, getting 5 state departments in Kenya to support this initiative was a major milestone for us. What's next? Having brought the stakeholders that are working on green skills and green jobs in Kenya together, we are now set to launch the platform. We have the digital platform, but we also have the actual governance structure, which you will see in the presentation, which will be shared in the chat box, that details the governance structure, the membership of the government, which is who are the chairman, and then we are the vice chair as a secretariat, and then the various members who are representing the youth, the private sector, civil society, informal workers who we realize are always left behind, and yet Africa is 70% from a job perspective or work perspective informal. So we had to make sure that they're included. So launching it is one of the immediate next steps. The next one is, as mentioned, we are developing a Green Jobs Index, which is one of those next steps, natural next steps, to make sure that the work that we are doing, where everyone is asking, how do we identify what green jobs are? How do we identify how we are contributing to green jobs? What are those indicators? And so we are developing the Green Jobs Index, which will be able to help different countries to be able to know which investments or which indicators are able to move the needle forward in terms of creation of green jobs, including the issue of skilling. One of our largest constituents in terms of membership in the Alliance for Green Skills and Opportunities is actually the academia. One of our consultative meeting we had with them, we had over close to 100 higher education representatives saying that they're doing all this research, but they have nowhere to take it. So now they have a place where they're able to contribute their research, which is on the platform that I've just shared, and people are able to make use of that research for interventions, programs, and implementation of the work on the ground. The next thing that we are thinking of doing, or we are working on, is legislation, because we know having a strategy or having this kind of body is good, but in the absence of legislation, you're really just working with political goodwill of those in office right now. And we want this to be able to outlive us, outlive the people from the various organizations who are part of the Alliance for Green Skills and Opportunities. So we are raising funds for the legislation. We have received invitation to showcase this as a best practice in COP30 under the Kenyan government, which is an absolute marker of the work that we have done together with the UNEP team and the GO4SDGS team here, which has been absolutely amazing. And besides that, as we know, there's the Africa Climate Summit, which is also another platform that we are seeking to present this, because there have been different countries in Africa that are asking us to replicate this there. And so the other next step is to be able to replicate this model in other countries. How do you bring different stakeholders from across various sectors together? As an example of the kind of impact that we've had, one of the immediate things that we realized was that we all lack data. We don't know which skills are most required. We don't know which skills employers actually want. We don't have the data to be able to make the right decisions. And so one of the obvious next steps was for the team or the alliance to be able to do a skills gap survey, a green skills gap survey. And after a while of trying to convince different organizations to contribute, we realized that it's taking long. And what happened just 2 weeks ago, we came together and everyone began to contribute in kind what they can. Some were giving of their time in terms of lecturers who are proficient in research. Some organizations are giving office space. Other organizations were supporting a few research assistants because that's what they can contribute. And this just goes on or goes to be able to reinforce or underscore the points that you have mentioned, Adriana and Veronica, about ownership, and David as well. The whole idea that this has now been entrenched in those that you've worked with, and now we have the ownership to be able to drive it. And for me, working with this large number of stakeholders who all contributed in kind for us to be able to have one database that we are reading from is testament that indeed there's not just been ownership or buy-in into this, but also a commitment to make sure that we get it done and we achieve the objective and remove the silos that had previously been there. And lastly, thank you very much to the team, Adriana, for your leadership. David and Team Alan, it's been an honor working with you. We really do feel like you've incubated us to make this a reality, and we're grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salah, for this impressive video, and most of all, your forward-looking perspective in all bringing these actors around the same page, moving those actors towards investing in green jobs for youth and accompanying, even with the regularity framework, as you mentioned. On another note, we are impressively behind schedule as well. So I please ask all future speakers to keep to the 5-minute time slot, and we will start to time these to allow really to all speakers at the end of the event as well to have sufficient time to make their case and show their work as well in the same way. So this brings us to the next segment, advancing finance for circularity. We all know that finance is crucial for bridging really these barriers to circular economy transitions. And so for this, I really ask kindly Beatriz Martins Carnero and Mabel Gonzalez Pacheco to really step forward. And thank you for joining also early on your day, right? Beatriz, you are the UNEP LAC Regional Subprogram Coordinator for Finance and Economic Transformation, with a long-standing support to GO4SDGS as well, championing it in the LAC region in the first few years. And so in this capacity, UNEP also plays a key coordination role, as we understand, in the LAC Circular Economy Coalition. Could you tell us more very briefly about this coalition and how really the knowledge projects, the engagement helped raise this regional ambition and how GO4SDGS supports this? Thank you very much, Beatriz.
Thank you, Thomas, for the invitation. Thank you, Adriana, for your guidance, and it's a good day to be here to celebrate GO4SDG's achievements. I will try to be under my 5 minutes. Do you hear me well? I'm having some echo here. Okay, good. So the GO4SDGs provided support to the coordination of the LAC Circular Economy Coalition. The coalition was launched in 2021 as part of the Forum of Ministers of Environment in Latin America and the Caribbean. And with the support from GO4SDGs, we were able to significantly strengthen this our role as a regional convener and a cooperation platform, enhancing collaboration in circular economic transition in Latin America and the Caribbean. So I will mention very briefly some of our achievements, and then I will spend a bit more time on the lessons learned. So through sustained collaboration with governments, private sector actors, academia, civil society, and international organizations, the coalition has been focusing its efforts on key areas such as, first, a regional platform and a multi-stakeholder dialogue. So through the coalition, we have strengthened the Circular Economy Festival. Now it's called the Latin American and Caribbean Circular Economy Festival. We held 3 editions since 2021. So the 3rd edition was in Peru with 1,500 participants, then the 4th edition in Costa Rica, and finally the 5th edition last year in Bogota, Colombia. It was the first one with open participation from the public in person, and we have more than 2,700 participants. And we launched the Bogota Declaration, which was a declaration from the coalition, a political declaration from the coalition to the COP16 on the topics of circular economy and biodiversity. We also held the EU-supported peer-to-peer exchange, through which we had 7 countries from the region exchanging on how they develop their national strategies and action plans and policies, and what was the lessons learned. And through that, we fostered the South-South collaboration, but we also developed guidelines that we launched this year during the World Circular Economy Forum. So we actively participated in major international and global events. We supported the World Circular Economy Forum editions 2022, 2024, and now recently 2025 as a knowledge partner of the forum. We were also present in UNEA 6 and at the Climate Week in LAC. The second one is through working groups and strategic thematic leadership. So we established and activated dedicated working groups. So we currently have 2 ongoing, one in plastics, in which we have worked financing for plastic circularity, and now we are working on extended producer responsibilities, policies, and legislation. And with this working group, we have the leadership of the World Economic Forum. The other working group we have in place now is on national circular economy strategies. It's co-led by ECLAC and Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And through this, we are helping countries on developing and implementing their national circular economy strategies. We're working on indicators, also on South-South collaboration. The third area is through tools, indicators, and technical knowledge. So we launched a series of webinars on circular economy metrics tailored for public and private stakeholders in collaboration with NL, with ECLAC, with IDB, and PACE. We also published the first regional mapping on labels and certifications for plastic with KI for circular economy and IAAC. And we initiated a compendium on circular economy best practices in Latin America and the Caribbean, developed with support from academic institutions across the region. The fourth area is financing and project support. So here we created a non-reimbursable acceleration fund to support circular economy projects in the region. This was launched by the IDB, the Inter-American Development Bank. At the same time, we had key contributions to initiative through knowledge products development. So we developed the first regional common vision for a circular economy in Latin America and the Caribbean, together with Ellen MacArthur Foundation, IDB, the Konrad Adenauer Institute, and UNEP. We developed also the flagship report, Unlocking Circular Economy Finance in Latin America and the Caribbean, a catalyst for positive change. This was done with the IDB and UNEP FI. Okay, my time is up. So very quickly, and I think that this is the most relevant one, is the circularity gap report we did for Latin America and the Caribbean, together with IDB, UNIDO, and ECLAC. This was the first one done at regional scale based on the global methodology. So we added 6 publications during this year. But I think that the most important thing is that the coalition keeps growing. We have now 58 members, 18 countries from the LAC region, private sector actors, and the strategic partnership with IDB, ECLAC, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, World Economic Forum, UNEP, and CTCN. And I think that the lessons learned, I would say, is that through these funds for coordination, we were able to leverage funds, not only for this, for all these activities that I mentioned. All of these activities were joint funded. It was not just funded from GO4SDGS. So we had significant funding from the EU, from IDB, from Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and from ECLAC. So we were able to leverage funds for all these activities. The second one is strengthen relationship with the partners. So we have some partners with very active role in the coalition, such as Ellen MacArthur Foundation, ECLAC, IDB, and World Economic Forum. So this is very relevant. And also the leadership from the countries, right? We have, the coalition has a steering committee that is led by the countries. So the countries have an active role on the coalition's work plan, activities, and also political engagement. And finally, we were able to attract partners not only from the region. So today we have the EU is a member of the coalition, OECD is a member of the coalition, RAP. We had extensive collaboration with GIZ. They are not members, but we have collaborated with them in many events and activities. So, and this is due to our convening power in the region and also our regional relevance. With this, I end, because otherwise I will spend too much my time. Sorry about that, Thomas. I really tried.
No, thank you very much, Beatrice, for the regional leadership on circularity. You have highlighted to so many partners, so just already mentioning them gets you to the 5-minute slot, and thank you for actually keeping it as well. So now over to you, Mabel. You are the LAC regional lead for the UNEP Finance Initiative, UNEP FI. You have built this momentum to drive financing for circularity. So can you share your how you really have translated a bit these knowledge products that Beatrice mentioned, this technical expertise, institutional expertise, into real action on the ground? So please, over to you, Mabel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas and Beatrice. Well, yes, it's been great having the opportunity to work not only with the coalition, but with the whole variety of factors that Beatrice already mentioned. the finance initiative of UNEP. I'm going to be sharing the link of the work that we do on circular economy for the colleagues that perhaps don't know well what we do. But we've been around for 30 years connecting the UN system with financial institutions around the globe to develop and to shape what sustainable finance is, and to be able to reinforce this agenda regionally and nationally. And this program, this initiative, this collaboration with GO4SDGS, CTCN, and some other institutions allow us to go to what exactly Adriana was speaking about at the beginning, just being able to reinforce the work that we do globally with regional perspective, but also being able to select a couple of countries that were already working on circular economy strategies, but that probably didn't have in place dedicated financial instruments and products to support SMEs, to support the circular economy transition, to support climate action. So what this collaboration allowed us to do, Thomas, was actually connect what was going on there, work with the Swiss Foundation base, who supported us in the implementation of a circular economy project in 4 countries. So we were able to work with the government of Costa Rica, Chile, Uruguay, and Dominican Republic, trying to ensure policy coherence, one of the components that already also Adriana mentioned at the beginning, making sure that these countries would have a clear diagnosis of what was going on in terms of public policy, but also a circular economy categorization system. And this system is important because now these 4 countries have a clear definition of what economic activities, assets, investment, and projects can be called a circular economy or are directly linked to circular economy and climate action. And this categorization system, of course, facilitates understanding of financial actors. And we hope that with this document, we can inspire and motivate financial institutions in those 4 countries to provide the products, the financial products needed to support SMEs in circular economy. So the categorization systems are there. We also were able to offer a first capacity building program with financial institutions, public and private ones in these 4 countries, and to see the motivation from banks that perhaps a couple of months ago were really not aware of the opportunities and also the risk of the circular economy versus the linear economy models was really exciting. We are very happy to see, Thomas, that this is not, even if we are closing the project, this is just the beginning of a new phase. We keep getting demands from our members to continue with the learning process, to continue making sure that we can ensure spaces for our members to exchange, not only from these countries, from other neighboring countries that are also interested in seeing how can the financial system actually support authorities that already have these national strategies to promote a circular economy. So we're very excited to have finalized this first capacity building program with more than 40 institutions in each country, to have this categorization system that we will be also upload in our website in the coming days. So to all the colleagues interested in knowing the learnings and the results of this project in LAC, please feel free to reach out to us. It would be great if we can start connecting also with some other colleagues and agencies to make sure that these efforts continue to develop as we need it.
Thank you so much, Mabel, for showing how this can be done in practice now with financial institutions. So really unlocking this finance for circularity, and indeed the support requests, as you mentioned, that keep on coming in through those networks that we have in the LAC region, both on the private as well as on the public side. And this brings us in a way also to the final segment of this first session, which is focusing on SMEs. So herefore, I would like to ask 2 two additional panelists to join us, which are really, with SMEs being key part of the circular economy, especially when they're brought with the right incentives, no, that we also just heard from Mabel. So first panelist there for the next session is Hannes McNulty. Hannes, you're the industry and value chain lead at the Green Job Knowledge Partnership, GDKP. So can you also within the 5 minutes time frame share your results, lessons learned from the collaboration with GO4SDGS and also the next steps as well. Thank you very much, and over to you, Hannes.
Thank you very much, and a pleasure to be here to share our experience with GO4SDGS. Well, yes, I'm coming from the SME perspective, the industry focus, and I want to talk about how GO4SDGS and GGKP worked very successfully on a joint initiative called IGO. And the whole background here is that SMEs are a target audience very difficult to reach and to work with. And as a result, with GO4SDGS support, we developed an initiative called IGO. And this was all about how can we reach SMEs and direct them in the direction of the knowledge that they need to address their specific issues around circular economy and specifically resource efficiency. So it all started where we developed with GO4SDGS an amazing tool called IGO Assistant. And then again, with GO4SDGS support, we managed to pilot this in a number of regions. And a particular example of this was where we piloted it in Africa with the support of the South African National Cleaner Production Center, or the NCPC. And it was a very interesting experience because with the support of the South African Cleaner Production Center, we managed to, one, understand all of the information that was already available in Africa for SMEs, deploy the IGO Assistant tool specifically for SMEs in Africa, and also build up, most importantly, a network of business support organizations in the Africa region as well, to essentially be our way of reaching the SMEs with this IGO Assistant tool. Again, this is very important for us. We had a tool, we had a network, and this was ultimately how we went out and supported SMEs. Ultimately, the number of SMEs using this tool ran into the, I'm going to use the word thousands because we are reaching about 2,000. So that gives us a nice number to say. And it was really very successful because it was a way we could reach SMEs en masse with through this network and this specific type of tool. Now, what's interesting is that we discovered knowledge is not enough for SMEs. You obviously have to help them apply it and, of course, give them the financing to do it. And this is where we supported then GO4SDGS on a very interesting project, which was the SME financing pilot, which Titus is going to talk about in a lot more detail. But I do want to mention that it was an amazing way of coming together to actually work directly with industry, with a bank, to bring about a solution that showed how easy it is to finance SMEs once all of the right information is there to support them. So it's kind of building upon our IGO approach, which is about being able to access knowledge, being able to reach SMEs, and then this SME financing pilot, which you're going to hear about. It is phenomenal, is all I want to say. It's a really great success, was a way of actually helping them implement the action through Pacific financing. Now, the important thing, what comes out of all of this is that we now have a way to work with SMEs in supply chains, both from a knowledge access perspective and a financing perspective. And we are aiming to upscale this all through a new initiative called Sectorial Industry Working Groups, which have already been proven through a project with UNEP. And it essentially means working with large companies to help them help their suppliers in their supply chains, in particular SMEs, and in parallel, bringing together all of the different technical assistance projects that are being led and implemented by a vast array of different development organizations. We bring the corporates, we bring the supply chain, we bring the way to work with SMEs projects which work in silo, and we use the experience we have with IGO. We use the let's say the lessons learned through this SME financing project, and we make it work in a streamlined way. And for this, I say thank you to Go4SDGs, because none of this would have got off the ground without the support of Go4SDGs, without the piloting, without all of those assessments and the SME financing projects. So thank you very much. It has been a pleasure, and I look forward to upscaling all of these outcomes in some of the phenomenal work planned ahead. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thanks to you, Hannes, and really on this very tangible support to SMEs that you just mentioned. And what is fantastic, I think, in the next speaker, I believe we will see really that this can work with real measurable outcomes. No? So it's my pleasure to introduce Titus Karanja, the CEO of FinTech Frontiers Limited. So the floor is yours, and shows indeed these numbers, Titus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thanks, everyone. It's tough coming after Hannes, who has stayed below 5 minutes by a clear almost 1.5 minutes. I shall try and be as good as he. So thanks. It was a great pleasure to work on the ecosystem approach to financing RECP in value chain SMEs. And I would really like to say thanks to whoever came up with this brilliant idea, because for a former banker like me, anybody who says, let's do a pilot where we can see if we can put money where our mouths are, is a really big idea. And so the program design was that it was innovative in that it was to run a pilot where an SME value chain would be assessed for RECP opportunities, and the opportunities identified would then be subjected to a financial expert, that's myself, to convert that language of RECP into bankable commercial language. And so that's what we did for 2 value chains, the tea value chain and the value chain, which were chosen because those are smallholder value chains in Kenya. And the value chain actors that we picked are those who have many SMEs within their value chain and also interface directly with the smallholder farmers. And so we had the 2 of them assessed, and we had great success with the dairy value chain, where the Kenya National Cleaner Production Center assessed them, identified opportunities, and we then took those opportunities and ran financial analysis on top of them to do various business metrics such as payback periods, return on investment, and such other assessments that would help the business owners, the value chain owners, to make a decision, but that would also speak to a bank. As Hannes has said, the whole issue turned out not to be just about knowledge, but also about facilitating the interface between the value chain owner and the commercial bank. And so we did a matchmaking exercise. I thank the UNEP team for helping us to do this with ABSA. David, thanks for many phone calls made to help get things to happen. My former banker colleagues, we spent quite a bit of time trying to explain to them what these RECP opportunities are, because as you will appreciate, some of the metrics they were seeing were new to them, in the sense that these are savings-driven metrics where resource efficiency is being brought, cleaner production. You also have to bring, thanks, Louis, for defining what RECP is. It's in the chat now, and so thanks for saving me a second or two there. And so what ended up happening with this dairy value chain is that of the opportunities that were identified, where the project spent an investment of $67,000, and immediate out of the gate, the value chain owner invested $150,000 of their own money in the immediate opportunities that were identified by the Cleaner Production Center report. Those were small things like milk being lost in spillage wastage, energy waste, boilers that needed to be deslugged, I think is the term. I picked up a few scientific terms along the way. If I get them wrong, forgive me. And steam pipes that were wasting energy and so on. And they just did that on their own, saying this is already convincing, we have little money, so they did $150,000. ABSA Bank here in Kenya then took the proposal, understood it, and funded them to the tune of slightly under $2 million for various interventions. The innovative thing here is that they took the interventions and the value chain owner was willing to invest in them. ABSA took an innovative approach of saying, look, we can unlock one of your problems and that will unlock money for you to do these investments that you need to do. And it has been a great success story for ABSA. ABSA is happy, the value chain owner is happy, and the project proved that indeed these are fundable opportunities. As a follow-on, I have information that the value chain owner is now moving on to invest in other opportunities that were identified in that report. Their next strategic plan, they have prioritized investment in a solar plant. They are going to be doing a new water capture and storage system, and they're also going to be doing a transition to cleaner packaging, all of which were ideas that came out of that value RECP assessment that was done. The approximate investment in those is going to come to about $3 million or so. And we hope that they'll be able to raise funding for that because the pilot, of course, is over. But they now understand how to communicate that to financial institutions, and to all intents and purposes, they are moving well. What does the future hold in terms of follow-on and scaling this? I'm happy to report that this has actually already happened, because I am involved in a new project where the exact pilot structure has been copied letter for letter, word for word. And this is in the project for effluent treatment in the Nairobi River Basin. And we are following KNCPC around as they assess various manufacturers in the Nairobi River Basin. We are doing financial assessment and preparing proposals that can go to a commercial bank to help the various manufacturers in the river basin to raise funding for effluent treatment, which is very much within the spirit of this pilot. We've so far just moved on to the matchmaking side, and we have a bank that has actually warmed up enough to have moved to stage 2 of some credit assessments. We hope that the particular businesses will end up securing money, and then we can report that as a success of this project. Lastly, I've also been in a few other projects where anytime we tell other people that it is possible to do a pilot that proves commercial viability of sustainability projects, the story sells very well because we have a clear case study that worked. And so you can truly say that GO4SDGS, you stimulated a business, a model that is actually being replicated elsewhere. And so thank you very much for that. I really thank GO4SDGS and everyone involved in it. I also learned a lot in that project, and I look forward to teaching other financial people like me that this RECP environmental sustainability can actually be converted into commercially funded projects. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you very much for this SME perspective, and thank you all to all participants, all panelists for such a insightful session 1. We will not open the floor to questions due to time constraint, but please do share any comments, shout-outs, burning questions in the chat. We'll make sure that I reach the relevant speakers and persons. And we will, with this, move now to the second session, and I hand over the floor to Adriana for moderating this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Thomas, and to all our amazing panelists in session 1. I know we are running a little late for time. I hope you can be with us. I think we will go over 20 minutes over the time, but please stay tuned and stay with us. So now, session 2, this panel we designed just to show also the impact, the work that we have done in accelerating SDGs with a specific focus on high impact sector. And here is really where the very strong cooperation with the 10YFP, the One Planet Network, started or was even strengthened, I would say, not started, but strengthened. We work here with the programs and the partners of the One Planet Network, scaling up their tools, their solutions. And as you will hear from our partners, we work in the area of sustainable tourism, sustainable food system, and of course, in sustainable lifestyles, because we need also to look at the demand side. So we have fantastic panelists today with us. You will see the knowledge, the expertise that they have brought. And without further ado, let me start then with the first one that is on tourism. And just to say a little anecdote here. Yes, tourism is a very important sector for economy, for jobs, but also has important impact in environment, and is also a replicator sector, because when we improve sustainable tourism, we are improving also the use of energy, the reduction of food waste, plastics, etc. And when David and Madina came to me and said, oh, you know, we want to work with this bed and breakfast or with this hotel or at the national level, I say, no, we really need, how are we going to move the needle? Because as Elisa said, we really need to shift and move the needle and create a systemic change. And here is where they expanded these ideas and started to work with regional intergovernmental or regional partners, bringing together different countries. And that was the work we did in developing regional harmonized standards for sustainable tourism. So let me invite Susana Ongalo, the CEO for Kenya Tourism Federation, if you can turn on your camera, and Julia Gracheva from the ESG Central Asia Expert. She's the director of the Eco-Labeling Program, Vitality Lift, who really help us in making this possible in scaling up the knowledge that we had on sustainable tourism, but then you adapted that in your regional context. You brought together different partners in your region. So I invite you to share with the colleagues here your key findings, and also I will start with Susana, the key findings and your lessons learned. And I remind you
Thank you
of the
very
time,
much,
4
Adriana.
minutes. Yes.
Thank you very much, Adriana. And I'd like to thank the whole of the chain of partners, GO4SDG, David there. It was a myriad of partnership, and we really are happy that this conversation came to where it is. And actually, I'm happy to represent not only Kenya Tourism Federation, but the region, the East Africa region, which has 8 countries now in the partnership. I will not take so much time because I realize time is really gone, but I'll pick it from where Madame Veronica started by saying connecting the dots. This actually is a perfect example of how the dots of these 8 countries and representatives thereof came about, and we all fell under East Africa Commission. And that is a intergovernment organization, because we realize we cannot work as Kenya alone, because Kenya would have worked with it, but how far would that have gone under our ecotourism Kenya? That is in Kenya. So we took it up with the East Africa Tourism Platform, where then we agreed to bring all the partners in tourism, travel, and hospitality. And we managed to bring just a short of 40 participants to one of the partner states. And we had very candid conversation about how we want to take tourism forward as a region, because where we came from is the region already had a classification criteria for hotels. But we realize tourism is not only hotels. Tourism is everything. It's from the time a tourist enters the plane to go to where they're going, that is carbon and all that. So we realized that, and we said, let's bring the East Africa together. So when we had that conversation in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, which is one of the member states of East Africa, we agreed, and it was unanimous, that we shall work under the East Africa Commission with East Africa Tourism Platform. That is government and private sector. And we came from 2023 to 2024, and now this conversation, we worked very quickly, and David, and the phone calls and the texts and everything, just to make sure we get moving. So it was quite some work, but we are very happy that we've gotten where we are, because we have the draft harmonized sustainable tourism standards. And now we're looking at what impact will these standards have. The harmonized standards will enable us to have one common guideline on how, it doesn't matter where you're operating from, you will be able to have something that is a benchmark. This is a bare minimum. Those that go ahead and go beyond this, then they get a mark of quality. But this is the initial mark of quality that we came up with. So from there, when we set the standards and we knew now we have a base to stand on, then we need now to move on and have trainers of trainers in each of these countries, so that then they police themselves, or rather they have someone on ground that looks into how, from the standards, how are then the standards being implemented on ground, implementation. And this will only happen through partnership and collaboration, again, from the opening remarks. And we're very happy to take that forward. And then we needed to bring this into policy. And in the room, we had Tourism Regulatory Authority, we have regulators from the other countries, so that we are not only speaking as private sector, but we are speaking with the government bodies that actually look into policy. And once policy is integrated in the region, tourism then will thrive in the region. So then the other impact we looked at is the environmental impact. And what can we really do, especially with climate change? Kenya had already gone forward, Rwanda had gone forward with elimination of plastics, but now we would like to bring that conversation to the whole region, that let's reduce plastic use, that let's also reduce food waste. And in Kenya, we looked at the buffet thing that happened. And we think really the hotels and restaurants need to look into, rather from buffet to a pre-conference menu that they just pick what that particular conference attendance will consume, as opposed to bringing so many things on the buffet, others no one even touches. So that's a conversation that we think really should move from here to there. Then we can have a conserved buffets, conserved environment, and have sustainable tourism practices that will be embedded into these harmonized sustainable tourism standards. And the key successes that we're looking at here is to be able to bring 8 countries into one conversation, that is collaborative partnership, and also to have a conversation with GO4SDG, UNEP, and all that. The East Africa community, which is now the governing body of the region. So that is a key success factor. And also alignment of what we are bringing to the regional policies, as I had said earlier, so that each of these countries, each of these private sector player then speaks one language. When they write their standards in Rwanda, they will be remembering what is in the harmonized sustainable tourism standards. When they write it in Congo, they will be using the same standard. And we don't forget one particular area of people that keep being forgotten, and where tourism happens is in the communities. I will take, let's say we'll take Amboseli, for example, in Kenya, and community live around the environment where we go to see the animals, where we go to see. So bringing community into this conversation is very key. So we are looking also to how best it will be to work with the local community, not only for tourism benefit, but to boost the livelihoods, the economies in that place, and not forgetting the natural heritage that we find in each of these partners. So going forward, we are looking for taking this conversation, and now government taking lead and private sector to implement what already we have come with through this project, which is just 1 year and shy. And we've done so much, and we've realized a document that will not only take Kenya, but the region tourism forward, because right now we want to have sustainable traveler coming to a sustainable destination as much as possible. And having growth, we are looking for tourism growth in numbers. However, we are also cautioning, look at what impact this tourism growth will have on the destination. I will bow out and say, let's keep the partnerships alive. Let's keep this conversation going. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan, and please convey also our gratitude to the 8 countries, as you mentioned, and to highlight the importance really to have one common guidelines and really start working with the government to change the regulation and also with the regulators. So thanks. I want to highlight Svetlana, David, that were providing the technical support, and to Jorge to say we have now to continue this cooperation with the Sustainable Tourism Program and deliver the training and continue, as you say, the cooperation. Thank you. So Julia, how this work look in Central Asia? I know we were doing similar one in Central Asia, and you were a lead partner in this. So from your end, lessons learned, key findings.
Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, colleagues, and good afternoon. I represent the Russian non-governmental eco-labeling program Vitality Leaf and the Global Eco-Labeling Network. And in this project for sustainability tourism in Central Asia, I served as a partner and lead expert on sustainable standards and eco-labeling. And the project in the region was coordinated by ESG Central Asia in close partnership with national authorities, private sector companies, civil society, and international organizations. And this was really a very practical initiative, very relevant to both businesses and governments. And one of the key objectives in our project was developing sub-regional eco-labeling standard for hotels in Central Asia. As you know, tourism in Central Asia is kind of regional product because tourists want to visit several countries in one trip. And of course, more and more tourists prefer hotels with sustainable practices, and they want to see this confirmed by kind of sustainability certificate. However, the standards and the practices in the region vary greatly from country to country. That is why we launched the hypothesis that a harmonized regional sustainability hotel standard is needed. And to test this hypothesis, we implemented bilateral consultations with various target groups. This was government authorities, businesses, and national and international experts. And the results of these consultations confirmed our hypothesis that the region needs such sub-regional approach and coordinated effort of all the countries in Central Asia. So we developed such a harmonized standard. It was based on international standards like GSTC and best practices of the Global Eco-Labeling Network members, and it was adapted for Central Asia. And it was not just a document on paper. This was a practical tool, including special automatic checklist to make the audit very easy and consistent. It was created with collaboration of national experts from 4 countries, and we also did the train of trainers for the experts from Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. So it was a collateral effort of all the countries. And to test the applicability of standard in the region, we organized pilot audits. It was 10 leading hotels across 4 countries. They were audited by national experts. And then after this pilot testing, the standard proved to be highly applicable. Of course, we made some refinements based on feedback from these pilots and finally got the full working tool. We had the final regional conference in Tashkent, and at this conference, standard received a strong political support from all 4 countries and readiness for the national registration and future certification processes. So what did we learn? Legal frameworks in all countries are different, so regional approach really works the best. And the main interest came from 4- and 5-star flagship hotels because the standard requirements were quite high. And of course, the main barrier is the certification cost. However, we feel the capacity to cope with that because there are proven solutions, and we know it from our eco-labeling programs experience worldwide. These are policy and market incentives. So today what we have, this is a strong foundation, political support from all 4 countries, developed standards and growing tourism in region, especially in the condition when Booking.com discontinued its old green program and now supports independent eco-certification. So we see the demand. We have trained national experts and we have a positive experience from the pilot phase where the standard was tested. So it is truly kind of low-hanging fruit. And what is our vision of the good future? These are the hotels in Central Asia which are certified under the single regional standard with recognized eco-label, clearly demonstrated their commitment to sustainability and enhancing the regional attractiveness to international tourists. Also, this certification is recognized by Booking.com and GSTC. And also these certified hotels can gain priority and market incentives through priority for hosting international events and official delegations. I think maybe this is the most important also. The system can be self-sustaining, like the best international eco-labeling practices, without the need of ongoing donor support. It just needs for the starting of the program. And of course, when talking about the impact, it can be really measurable, contributing to climate action, to pollution reduction through the requirements of the standard, and of course, the marketing incentives and attractiveness of the region for the tourists, which can be also measured. So now it is important not to lose momentum created by GO4SDGS, especially considering that really this project lies in the intersection of 2 10YFP focus areas, that is sustainability tourism and eco-labeling within the consumer information program. So it is important to continue the activities now, and I want to thank all the colleagues and especially Madina and Asel for their tremendous dedication and professionalism in advising and delivering this program in the region. It was a very great pleasure to work with you. Thank you very much for your attention and hope for next work.
Thanks to you, Julia, indeed, and thanks to Madina, to Svetlana, and the 10YP program, and all the partners that made this possible. And I'm glad, again, what you highlighted, regional standards that are helping not only 1 country, but in this case 4, and, you know, helping this obstacle that often is on the national standards and how the regional approach can help to unlock that and build cooperation. So we're really happy to hear that and the progress. And as we were saying here, the idea was how can we move faster and accelerate implementation, and you've proven that regional cooperation, regional standards is a good approach. So thank you so much for illustrating that. And then Susanna, you mentioned something important, food waste in tourism, food waste in general. So let's move to our next panelist. Another key sector that we were working, and also very close cooperation with the One Planet Network, the program Sustainable Food System, was on reducing food waste. And colleagues, as you know, UNEP is the custodian of the SDG 12.3, that is about reducing food waste. And of course, to reduce first, you need to measure. So I tell you again the anecdote. We wanted to start develop the regional capacity, not reinventing the wheel. UNEP has just launched the methodology in close cooperation with GRAP. And then how do we bring it down to the region? So we did back in 2021, a call for expression of interest in 4 regions for countries to join. And to our surprise, we received more than 160 responses. And we set up 4 regional working groups to build this capacity. And I'm very thankful for the strong partnership with GRAP. And Hugh, so happy you are here, and please convey our gratitude to your team, because you will hear from him how they developed the capacity. They supported over 50 countries in measuring that. And also later with Nikki, you will hear how the region started to create their own flavor and develop out of this training different initiatives. And I'm also want to acknowledge Paulo that is connected here and was crucial, and John Rang and David and Beatriz and Thomas in developing this working group. So Hugh, the floor is yours. Tell us about your findings, key messages.
Thank you very much, Adriana. So I'm a specialist in RAP's Global Food Waste Reduction team. I'm here today briefly to tell you about the Recipe of Change Toolkit project under the headings of why, what, how, output, outcome, and next steps. So why RAP to deliver the project? RAP's a global environmental action NGO transforming our broken product and food systems to create circular living for the benefit of the climate, nature, and people. We have convened a food pact network. This is a global movement to transform food systems by bringing together global leaders to tackle the challenges of food loss and waste and address its harmful environmental, social, and economic impacts worldwide. Leading up to this project, as we've just heard from Adriana, we developed 4 regional multi-stakeholder working groups to strengthen national capacities in measuring and reducing food waste. And amongst many other international projects, we've also developed a global roadmap for food waste reduction in the tourism sector on behalf of the UN World Tourism Organization. So what was the project? Our brief was to build on the successes of the Recipe of Change campaign developed by the UNEP Regional Office for West Asia, to highlight the importance of and opportunity to tackle food waste and how its reduction contributes to the development and achievement of sustainable lifestyles and circular living. We were tasked with connecting the dots and not duplicating effort. There was a debate as to whether we should call the output a toolkit or toolbox. But to me as an engineer, a toolbox can be heavy, difficult to open, and even more difficult to find the right tool amongst all the clutter in the toolbox. A toolkit, on the other hand, is easily accessible, containing only the tools you need to take immediate action. So how did we develop the toolkit? We carried out a desk study of the existing resources and engaged with stakeholders, including One Planet, UNWTO, the International Food Waste Coalition, WWF, Hilton, Accor, Winnow, Leanpath, and many others. We convened working groups to discuss the format and content and gather feedback, all of which led to the Recipe of Change Toolkit. With a focus on the hotel, restaurant, and catering, or the hawker sector, the target audiences for the toolkit are frontline chefs and staff, hawker managers and executives, and to avoid duplication, signposting for government representatives at national, subnational levels involved in sustainable tourism, sustainable gastronomy, and SDG 12.3 reporting. The output, in terms of the toolkit, to tackle food waste effectively, businesses need a clear, structured approach. And Target, Measure, Act is the framework that's proven to help turn ambition into action on food waste reduction through practical, measurable steps. And this is the approach adopted for the Recipe of Change Toolkit. Target set a purposeful food waste reduction target in line with SDG 12.3, such as reducing food waste by 50% across business operations. Measure, track and report food waste data to pinpoint inefficiencies and identify areas for improvement and cost savings. And Act, using data-driven insights to implement food waste reduction processes and strategies, whether in business operations, supply chain collaboration, or by helping guests reduce plate waste. The main features of the toolkit is the Recipe of Change checklist, which are aimed at different roles and different stages of the food cycle within the hawker sector. There are simple lists. These are simple lists enabling the individuals to assess the progress in all the main areas of food production and service. Links are then provided to further resources to help complete more elements of the checklist. Why should businesses take action? A suite of case studies is provided to demonstrate the business case for action from economic, environmental, and social perspectives. In terms of outcomes or lessons learned, taking just a few of the success factors and applying this to the Recipe of Change Toolkit. Building partnerships, the development of the toolkit wouldn't have been possible without the input and valued contributions of the stakeholders and working groups. Scaling up implementation tools, The toolkit is currently being designed up for publication and will provide a resource that is relevant to any hawker business, large or small, in whichever region of the world. Bringing knowledge into action, no matter what stage the business is at on its sustainability journey, the toolkit will provide a reference point and guidance on where action should be taken to progress, continuously improve, and move towards more sustainable lifestyles. Next steps. This toolkit and its checklist are designed to be easy to use. As we are asking the businesses to continuously improve, so should the toolkit evolve based on feedback from its use and submission of case studies. And we look forward to hearing from you in that instance. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hugh. And colleagues, stay tuned because the toolkit will be soon launched. So, and yeah, the mission was how to replicate this best practice that was built in West Asia, Recipe of Change, make it global. But let's hear from Nikki. I'm very happy that we have with us Nikki Walsh, the Director of the Food and Beverage Marketing and PR for Europe, Middle East and Africa of the Hilton Group. And Nikki, you were instrumental in bringing this down to the hotel. So tell us the story, the lessons learned.
Thank you so much to all of you. And can you hear me? Okay, because I've got to, okay, I'm hiding in my bedroom because it's almost bedtime for my little one in Dubai. So I'm squirreled away. And thank you to Hugh for everything you've done with that amazing toolkit. We look forward to using it in the hotels, and it was exciting to be part of it. Like Adriana said, I'm Nikki from Hilton. Hilton, I'm sure you know, it's quite a famous brand, is mercifully rooted in purpose. We were built on the premise that hospitality can be a force for good, but hospitality by its very nature is also rooted in generosity, and generosity, the spirit of giving and sharing, is at the root cause of driving a lot of our food waste in the hotel space. Back in 2023, I think it was, or actually no, 2022, 29th September, my boss and I, Emma Banks and I, went to a really informative session with Sami Damasi when they launched the Recipe of Change in the UAE. And at that informative session, we were alarmed to hear the stat that during religious and social festivities, food waste proliferates by 25 to 50%. When faced with that, I then conceptualized the idea of Green Ramadan, went away to our amazing partners, Winnow, who are an AI-driven tech solution to help chefs cut food waste in half. And it's absolutely amazing. I'm proud to say that Winnow is now in 200 hotels across the world with Hilton, 127 which sit in our region, where we are gathering data and deepening our insight as to the reasons why team members and consumers waste food. And then we come about with daily insights on how to make our operations better. Now, I understand what Susan was saying earlier about, we need to eradicate buffets. Were we able to do that, we'd absolutely love nothing more. However, we also have to live and exist and as hotels where our guests still want these buffets. So what we've tried to do is come up with a concept to change the way we operate, whether from our sequences service to the way we create mise en place, to the offer, to the plant-based innovation, every factor of the value chain, to try and make what we would call a default sustainable scenario for our guests, wherein they are just wasting less. And hopefully then in turn use the platform, all those eyeballs that are coming through the door every day, to try and create that exponential change. Like I said, with our team members, which we can control through training, but also those guests who come into our environments, and we can use that platform just to show how just thinking a little differently, more mindfully, can really affect way better outcome. Better on their tummies, but also and on the bin and the environment's win-win. And also the bottom line, because obviously we waste less, it costs us less, which is a great thing. So we created Green Ramadan. We went back to the UNEP team and said, look, we want to do this Green Ramadan idea. And it just so happened that they were developing the Sustainable Ramadan campaign at exactly the same time. It was just this kind of serendipitous meeting of minds with the most elegant phrase, half the food waste, double the blessings. And big shout out to Paolo, who's just been a brother from another mother, Sarah, who unfortunately is no longer with the UNEP team. She's gone off to pursue her family dreams in Italy, but she was just a game changer. And Huda, who does the PR for and Tarek and everybody. They were just incredible partners. So we went away, created this kind of flywheel of success, which factored in obviously local sourcing, which we're very focused on. In the UAE, we're at 37% local basket now, which is brilliant, from zero to hero in a few years. Obviously sustainable gastronomy practices, forensic food waste measurement, eradication of plastic front of house, diversion by donation and compost. And we came up with this our own checklist to say these are the things that we have to commit to in that environment to create a green Ramadan. In 23, we launched it in 3 hotels in 3 countries. And in 1 month, we saw a 61% reduction in total food waste from week 1 to week 4. Understanding all of that, we created a toolkit, our own little toolkit, nothing like Hugh's, but I did my best. And then we gave that in and trained that voraciously. And I say voraciously, it's an understatement. We call it being voluntold, how to do things in environments where we basically volunteer everyone and then tell them what to do. And then we make it, you know, non-negotiable, and this is how it's worked for us. Obviously it's quite friendly, but not always. Anyway, then the next year we went from the 3 hotels, 3 countries, to 32 hotels in 7 countries across EMEA and APAC, through working with Chef Leila Fathala, our most amazing partner in terms of creating epic content on social media. And by the way, pop culture is the only way to get this into people's vernacular. We need to TikTok the hell out of food waste to make it cool to care, and then it really will, you know, gather that all important pace that's required. Chef Leila helped us really drive the content, drive all important fear of missing out. FOMO does wonders in the hotel environment, just note to self as well. And we then used Taste of Hilton, our social media channel, to really drive that change. And suddenly teams in APAC were ringing us and saying, we want to be part of it. So we scaled up. We then saw, with all of those learnings, we went in already better off than we'd left the year before, and we created, you know, this incredible best practice sharing environment. Those 32 hotels then saved a further 21%. Then we think this, you know, surely we know it all by now. No. This year we scaled up to 45 hotels in 14 countries, EMEA and APAC. And then we, in plate waste terms, we basically started off 58% better off than we were from week 1 back in 23. We started off 58% better. And so we saw another 26% reduction. It was absolutely incredible, and we learned so much. There were huge cultural challenges. It was a labor of love. It's hard work, but through, like I said, we learned so much about, you know, the fact bread and pastry was proliferated at there's the biggest contributor to food waste at every single occasion. We've now done 4 experiments with this. So we changed the way we serve bread. We changed the different sizes of the rolls and the pastries that we offered up. We learned to chop fruit differently. If you cube it versus slice it and put it in a bowl, you don't have any waste. And we made loads more a la minute, kind of more exciting live action stations that made it really, really a much better experience for our guests, anecdotally, which was reflected through the sentiment, as well as them walking away having wasted less, which was brilliant. Green Ramadan then evolved into a green breakfast, and I'm going to show you a video which kind of really shows everything across the value chain. And then I just want to say a couple of words at the end before I hand it over, and hopefully we'll be under time. Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you so much, Nikki. We will show the video.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chef Sebastian from Hilton.
Hi, I'm Amina from Winnell.
And we're here to talk about Green Breakfast, an ambition to reduce food waste in half in 13 UAE-based hotels in a few months.
So tell me about the Green Breakfast campaign. What started it?
Well, it's inspired by the United Nations environmental program Recipe of Change, and it's in line with the NEMAF National Food Waste Trial. There are so many different stakeholders. There's behavioral change from team members and guests we had to influence. Our ambition really was to create a roadmap to share with our industry peers in how to accomplish this really ambitious target.
UNEP supported us by giving us all the data we were missing. We were able to find out what exactly was going to the bin, based on that finding out the guest habits and change accordingly.
Which specific interventions you design when it comes to plate waste with our hotels during the trial to drive impact?
So during the trial, we were able to analyze the plate waste data and identify that the two key areas where waste was coming from was from the bread and pastries and the fruits. So the interventions that we created for these bread and pastries, we decided to change the portion sizes of specific items. While for the fruits, we looked at reducing the sizes of the fruits that were cut up.
Pre and post-consumer waste together. Winnow and Hilton together, we delivered a 62% reduction on average between all the hotels. Let us dare to dream big, because if we deliver 1.8 million breakfasts annually in 13 hotels, how many breakfasts can we impact and influence if we think about the industry?
What these initiatives show us is that if you prioritize something and then measure it, you can make a real difference. But now it has to be an industry priority. This is something we can achieve if we do it together. There is no time to waste.
Thank you so much for letting us play that video. So since then, I'm really proud to say that we're about to launch phase 2 of Green Breakfast. Stanford University have joined us with their whole consumer behavior department of the Stanford Business School, and the graduates, the PhD students, are going to help us analyze the consumer messaging that really works, and we're going to lend our platform as best we can. Also, since doing the Green Breakfast trial, we have API'd our food waste data with NAMA, so it's one of those global firsts, so they're now getting everything, and we want to do this as much as possible around the world, because it's definitely data worth sharing. We know how precious that is. Last thing I want to say is one of the things that I found most powerful in recent weeks is we've just been interviewing our fresh round of exciting interns, and these Gen Zers have come in, and every single one of them has come and applied to be with Hilton because of either Green Ramadan or Green Breakfast. We've seen this as the #1 great place to work in terms of hospitality companies globally. The reason why is because of purpose. So if we shout about this loudly enough, if we tell everyone who will listen, and if we can get pop cultures to start really caring, Taylor Swift talk about something useful for once, then we can massively change the industry. And our ambition is to take this global for Hilton, and to also share all of our findings with our industry as a whole. So thank you all so much for the opportunity, and thanks for everything you're doing. It's mega.
And thanks to you, Nikki, and all the team that made this possible. Fantastic video, I think, that shows perfectly the work. And you close it perfectly on the need of behavioral change, and also the growing interest of Gen Z to move more to areas that have more purpose. So with this, let's move to the next theme, sustainable lifestyles. And remember, I say that one of the key focus of GO4SDGS was youth empowerment. And how can we empower them to embrace sustainable lifestyles and also to get the new skills for green jobs? So I'm so happy to have here with us Luisa Kenji, Executive Director of Hot or Cool Institute, a member also of the Material Flow and Consumption Task Force of Club de Rome, but more than anything, a very close friend and a very important partner to me and to UNEP. I have to tell you a secret. Luis was with us since the very beginning when we launched GO4SDGS, and he was instrumental in co-designing this component on sustainable lifestyles, in providing evidence, science-based evidence on why sustainable lifestyles is important. And I think, Luis, our commitment was really not to break this myth that sustainable lifestyles was all about education and information, but rather we needed to shift on the enabling policies that we need to ensure from the government, from private sector, as Nikki showed, and from many other different actors in the society. So Luis, let me give you the floor and tell us, in your journey with GO4SDGS, what are those lessons learned, the key messages that you want to share, and next steps, of course.
Thank you so much, Adriana. Did you want to say something?
And just one thing, I want to acknowledge that we have partners connected here from Ariusa in Latin America. We have Kenneth and Carlos Trujillo, and also our Faith for Earth initiative. Sorry, just wanted to acknowledge that they are here listening.
I thought I looked youthful enough, but okay, fine. Thank you so much, Adriana. It's wonderful to hear
all the really positive things that have come out of GO4SDGs. I remember when we started this program at the beginning, it was really a question on how to touch on this hot potato issue of consumption and lifestyles, whether it's even politically palatable to go in that direction. And I'm so happy that you made the brave decision to go with this. At the time, there was a lot of misconception on what sustainable lifestyles of consumption would look like. So of course, we decided to hold lots of regional consultations and an international consultation, including at the Action Hub of the Stockholm Plus 50, to discuss the implications of consumption and climate change for future generations and youth of today. It's here that we clarify that lifestyles and consumption are not only about behavior change, it's at looking at the systems that come together to provision for our needs and for our well-being. When people complain that there was not enough resources to build your capacity on understanding this problem, you were one of the first persons to jump up and say, let's set up a Sustainable Lifestyles Action Academy that can train not only youth, but also decision makers and influential persons to understand the more complex nature of what we mean by sustainable lifestyles and consumption. But I'm going to take advantage of being one of the last speakers to draw the lessons from all these experiences that we've had together, to cast the future opportunities that we have and some questions that we really must answer, right? Because we know that if you're a youth today, if you're just getting into school or you're becoming a teenager, the promises that were available to generations just recently are no longer a guarantee for you. It's no longer really a guarantee that you go to school and you end up with the kind of job that you dreamt of having. It's no longer really a guarantee that we can provide social security the way that we have it now. Upward social mobility is a question. It's even a question to current people working currently, whether they would have their pensions in the form that they had dreamt. So just things that had been available until recently are becoming question marks. If you're a youth, you're told AI might take away your jobs. You're told climate change might create ecological instability. You're told that resource scarcity, the material basis for our well-being, is going to be an issue getting into the future. So if you look at this, all of this, and looking at what we've achieved with GO4SDGs, I would say one thing we've done very clearly is to create the foundations to pull together these questions and ask what the next frontier will be like. Fortunately, the youth are not leaving this up to just people like us or institutions like ours. They're taking the leadership. They're training to be AI native, but we need to be present in making sure that we provide the right guardrails, that we don't have runaway technologies and tendencies built into this, right? We're also beginning to understand, our policymakers are beginning to understand more and more that sustainable consumption is not just about behavior change. We need to look at very concrete sectors: food, mobility, housing, consumer goods, and services. Why these areas? Because these areas happen to be the areas where a combination of high environmental factors create so much uncertainty for future well-being, that this is where a lot of youth anxiety is being expressed. It is also the reason why we need to think of how to start provisioning for these areas in a way that is not just very profit-driven, but that shows well-being aspects. But last but not the least, the one measure that I think we've dabbled around a little bit with, together with Earth for All, Club of Rome, UNEP, is looking at how do we start measuring not only that which gives us profits, but that which supports our well-being. Not only that which brings competition, but that which brings collaboration and brings out the better aspects of us. And in this regard, 4 key areas are coming up that I think we need to take advantage of as we think of the future of something like GO4SDGs. One of them, obviously, is the UNEA 6 resolution on promoting sustainable lifestyles. This is where we need to take advantage, to take the lessons that have been so clearly elaborated on this panel, to ask the question, talking to future generations, listening to future generations, how do we design systems that reflect their own aspirations? A second thing we need to take advantage of is the big question the IPCC is asking right now. If we're designing interventions from a territorial-based accounting perspective, how do we make sure fairness is ensured, that people can meet their needs through appropriate ways of responsible consumption? And in this case, we need to understand a little bit more clearly how to take the examples, for example, that have just come up now, to consumption, to translate them into consumption-based accounting that not only show impacts, but show how it's contributing towards well-being and showing how it's reducing, provisioning is reducing social tension through implementing climate change legislation. Last but not the least, we're in the last phases of the SDGs, but we're also thinking already about the post-2030 agenda. It is quite important that consumption is not left as an appendix to this, but that it's actually central and it's in the core of defining how we measure, how we look at resource scarcity, ecological instability, or new business models in a way that it's not just creating consumerism and consumption for the sake of it or inequality, but it's actually prioritizing the resources, the emissions towards areas that make us feel better as individuals, as societies, and also for the environment. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Luis, and thank you for highlighting the importance of lifestyles, also for socioeconomic aspect of social mobility. And I really like what you say now to look what will be the post-2030 agenda. How can we ensure that sustainable lifestyles is there? And for sure, we will continue this work with the UNEP resolution and many other different areas. Now, when we were working with Luis and we developed some material on how to have, as he mentioned, this Action Academy for Sustainable Lifestyles, we wanted really to scale it up. And I am so happy that we partnered with the United Nations System Staff College and that we have Talita here. And they help us to bring this scientific, science-based material into a gamification, an online game, education. So tell us about this work, Talita, the findings, the stories that you heard from the students, for the participants of this training.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. So first, obviously, let me start by thanking you and obviously the whole team of GO4SDGS for your continued partnership, for all the trust. I have to say that the two initiatives that we had designed together, both the Sustainable Lifestyles module and the challenge, they are among our most popular learning tools until today. And they are a real source of pride to the entire college. So on behalf of all of us, thank you. But today I want to focus on the My Sustainable Lifestyles Challenge, which, as you said, it's the gamified learning experience on sustainable lifestyles. So this initiative began in 2022, and basically it was trying to answer the key question that you mentioned in the beginning of the session and also again now, which is how can we help youth embrace sustainable lifestyles, right? Or maybe to put it simply, how do we support young people in moving from this anxiety that Lewis just mentioned and this freeze, right, to action, even when they are faced with the overwhelming reality that we are living now? How do we help them do that? We knew traditional approaches, obviously, they would not work. So we created something that was actionable, accessible, and also relevant to them. It had to speak their language, right? It had to be part of their reality. And obviously, why not? Fun. So that's how the My Sustainable Lifestyles Challenge, this gamified learning experience was born. So how does it work? Basically, over 6 weeks, participants, they form teams and then they take quizzes, they complete small actions. For example, they measure their footprint, they visualize their food waste, and then they engage on a community board to earn points. The more you act, obviously, the more you score. You get a Trimagoshi of your own to help visualize your progress, but most importantly, you feel connected to a network of young people that are also committed to change. And I think this is the most important element. And let me say that we have advanced with this community a lot. When we started in 2022, we were discussing, okay, so how many people we want to have, how many people we want to engage. And then we were, yes, let's be bold. Let's try to have 100 players, right? I remember this conversation at the beginning. And guess what? 100 players was not bold enough. Actually, we had a lot of people really engaged, sending messages saying, I really want to take part of this challenge. And well, our latest edition last year, we had 2,000 participants from 88 countries, and the challenge was offered in 4 different languages. And I mean, I think that growth already tells us something very important, right? And it shows how relevant this type of tool can be. But to focus now on the lessons, I think there are 3 lessons that we have learned that I would like to share with you today. And the first and more obvious one, maybe, community is powerful. When young people, they feel part of a movement, when they really have the sense of belonging, that's when the magic happens. And that's what the challenge tried to recreate, right? Not only fostering communities at the local level, so with their universities, with their youth-led organizations, but also worldwide networks. These people, they were playing this game with other university students from across the world, and this is very strong. Number 2, I would say agency matters. Youth, they have this potential to become multipliers, and we tend to ignore this fact. They are able to engage their communities, their friends, their families. So they are very good at disseminating the information, right? Influencing university curricula, community behavior. So we really have to give them that and to give them the space to do it. That's also what the game tried to do, provide this space to enable something, this potential that is already there. I always like to say youth is not the future. They are the present. They are here. They are the ones driving change. And the game tried to encourage, or rather foster, this potential. And then third, obviously, innovation. Innovation drives change. Again, we knew that a regular traditional learning experience would not work. And believe me, this challenge, my sustainable lifestyle challenge, is not the usual learning experience. Gamification really helped us to tap into the interests and potential of young people and offer participants something that was really simple and actionable. Each week, they would gather, they would connect to the challenge. They would have some very actionable steps to take. After all, they would take pictures, post on the social media board, and engage with each other. Very simple, actionable, and again, something that actually resonated with them, right? It was their language. So what's next, I would say? First, obviously, we want to scale up. Now, 2,000 participants, I have to say, is not enough anymore. We want to reach more people, more institutions. Hopefully, we also want to be able to translate the challenge to more languages, also to allow inclusivity. So we already have the challenge in English, French, Spanish, and Russian. But the more languages, the more inclusive, the bigger the reach. So that's what we are striving for now. Number 2, aim to partner with universities to embed the challenge into sustainability programs. And this was an amazing learning from this experience. Universities, they are eager to have tools like this. Tools that are easy, that they can just plug into their programs and that actually help them to translate the theoretical knowledge into actions. And the game, the challenge kind of fulfilled this role for many of them. So we received a lot of requests. How do we do it? How do we integrate this into our curriculum? How do we make this part of our program? So the next step, definitely make sure that we consolidate these partnerships with universities to integrate the gamified learning experience into their programs. And then obviously, we would like to explore how to expand this to new audiences. After all, I think we all like to have fun while you're learning. And we would also like to build on the momentum of gamified learning, right? I think we all probably are using apps to learn new languages and everything based on games. So why not take this initiative also to other audiences? So yeah, I think that's basically some of the things I wanted to share. It's clear that we have built a vibrant network of young change makers, and this is, this is just such a rewarding experience for us. But now it's time, and I would say that now it's time to strengthen this community, right? And to actually activate even more people to sustainable lifestyles. This is definitely a very powerful tool in our hands. And yeah, thank you, Adriana, for this opportunity and the whole team, because I think we have gold now to keep this work going. So thank you very much.
And thanks to you, Talita, and convey our gratitude also to Sandia that couldn't join today. I like really what you say, and the key message is the community is powerful and the belongingness. So that's very key. And we have today connected the university networks that are ready for you to expand this, and UNEP, of course, stands ready. So I see already Jorge on the chat. We are running a little late. I'm gonna give the floor, the co-chairing to Marina, but let me invite Jorge, my dear colleague, the head of the 10YFP, the One Planet Network, that we have been, as I say, we have been working together since the very beginning, and last year we started to create the long-term strategy. So Jorge, GO4SDGS legacy initiatives are now in your hands, so I invite you to take the floor. Thank you.
Adriana, dear friends, partners of the GO4SDGS initiative, and members of the One Planet Network, what such a pleasure to be here today. First and foremost, to join you in celebrating the remarkable achievements of the GO4SDGS initiative. And as I was hearing the presentations, the themes, and the issues that have been raised, a few words have come to my mind, and many of you have spoken to this. I believe that the three that I would like to bring today to summarize my appreciation for your work. Number one, it is that optimism. It is the sort of permeating element that each and every one of the GO4SDG staff has brought every day to the work, that it is, yes, we can make a change in our community. Yes, we can help our countries and our regions advance faster to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Yes, we are ready to strike a partnership to shift the dial forward. The second word that I have very much heard, and I appreciate of the work that you have done, it is around scalability and opportunity. It is identifying those tools, those initiatives that seem to be providing results in a context, replicating them, translating them, and applying it to another context. The proof of with successful returns. The proof of concepts, and just to quote two that we have heard and that have touched me profoundly. One are the regional standards for tourism, an initiative grounded in the Eastern African community that then gets replicated in Central Asia. Also, two regions apart can be brought together by the lessons learned, by the initiatives and the tools that have been created, and by that power of optimism and replicability. I would say the third one is scalability, and it is that idea that we can aggregate and reach higher heights. And this is what we celebrate today, and these are the points that I am very pleased to share with you. Since its inception, as you are aware, the 10YFP has been a close and committed partner of GO4SDGs, and in fact, Adriana has had an incredibly important role in the development and shaping in of the 10YFP as you know it today. Together, we have scaled up tools and guidelines and implemented them across regions and countries, particularly in the areas that I will speak a little bit now. These include tourism, food waste reduction, sustainable lifestyles, circular economy, and so on. The legacy for GO4SDGs is deeply, therefore, embedded in the 10YFP strategic priorities and the results framework that we are implementing for 2025 and 2026. It has laid the groundwork for accelerating the shift towards sustainable consumption and production by promoting sustainable lifestyles and skills, harmonizing tourism standards, advancing circular financing, and embedding sustainability in key impact sectors. Just to quote a few, and in the panels that we have heard, there's quite a number of initiatives, legacies, and success stories that we continue to carry forward. But today, in closing remarks, I will just concentrate in three. The first one is the Green Jobs for Youth Pact. This is an incredibly important initiative because it allows us to bring together the skills and the lifestyles agenda. It continues to help and build in partnership with the ILO and UNICEF, ensuring sustained advocacy and implementation for youth employment and green skills development, and moving from the initiatives that have been developed to structured engagement with countries and institutions. The second one is bringing together the work on sustainable tourism standards, and I would say inspiring practices such as those that we heard from Hilton on the green breakfast and the sustainable Ramadan, and other partnerships that we have also heard today. The regional standards developed in Africa and Central Asia are now not only part of our 10YFP results framework, but have substantially informed the work that the Sustainable Tourism Program of the One Planet Network implements. Last and not least, I want to speak about financing for circularity. The efforts that have been launched with the support of UNEP in collaboration with the African Circular Economy Alliance and the LAC Circular Economy Coalition continue to support circular economy transitions, particularly for SMEs in high-impact sectors. This work, we are carrying it forward in close collaboration and partnership with the World Business Council on Sustainable Development through the Global Circularity Protocol for Business. We have all spoken about how sustained collaboration is essential and how is it the cornerstone of our success and the key to ensuring the long-term impact and continuity of all these transformative initiatives. And personally, and together with Adriana and all the family of the 10YFP, we are absolutely committed to continue fostering active and meaningful cooperation, whether this is in the context of UNEP's medium-term strategy for the period 2026 to 2029, whether this is in the successful preparation of the Environment Assembly of UNEP that will be held at the end of this year, or in advancing the Sustainable Development Agenda in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals and the high-level political forum. We are committed to helping countries bridge the gap and ensuring that we can provide coherent responses to the ongoing multilateral challenges and ensure that both GO4SDGs continues to live as a core, I would say, enabler of the work of the 10-year framework of programs on sustainable consumption and production. And I want to really express my thanks and appreciation for the wonderful partnership, the catalytic effort that the government of Germany has provided, not only for GO4SDGs, important political leadership and the work on the consumer information program that continues to help guide these multilateral solutions for the good of our community. So in that, it has been a pleasure to listen to each and every one of the voices that have joined us today and to carry this work forward. So back to you, Adriana. Thank you so much for organizing this event.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you so much for your words and for carrying over for the long-standing partnership and also for carrying over this legacy initiative. So Veronica, we want to give you the floor for your closing remarks. Your impressions.
Thank you very much, Adriana. I was thinking of reducing my concluding remarks to just one wow. I think that would already be enough, but I don't want to steal myself so easily out of this exercise. I think, well, Adriana, you showed us a slide where you wanted to demonstrate the impact of GO4SDGs with really very impressive numbers. I was already very impressed when I saw that, but honestly, I don't know, I could show you my notes here. I've taken so many notes during those last 2 hours. I think that your impact is somewhere else, or in addition to the impact that you have shown in numbers. I think where the impact of GO4SDGs is what you described yourself as the glue. Very often those helping networks create a bit like our unsung heroes. It's like what happens in a team. You listen to the team leaders, you give credit to those overachievers, but often those that keep everything together, that make that a group of people is really a community of people, those are very often or tend to be the unsung heroes. And if I may say so, I think what we have done today is celebrate a party for those unsung leaders. And I think that's very, very important and very justified just only by the number of hearts that I've seen in the chat and always popping up. There was a lot of, Jorge, you called it, a lot of optimism being shared. I would even name it a lot of can-do attitude. So I would say this enabling of networks, this building of communities, but together with this can-do attitude that you can really change things, that you can start little, and by talking to each other and sharing each other's experiences, and then you can upscale, and then you can change really on a larger scale. So I very well noted those success factors that were named, like the bottom-up approaches, connecting the dots ever and ever again, bringing people together, learning from each other, peer-to-peer learning. But it's more than just learning. It's really making each other enthusiastic. So a little bit of spreading the virus of this can-do attitude, and then really go to the next steps and having the pilots being upscaled, the networks evidently growing and in a very, I would say, robust way, so that I'm very confident that the networks are also self-sustaining and build a self-sustaining system. And not last but not least, certainly also all the funding unlocked. So I heard, yes, I could go on and go on and go on, but I think that's the gist of what I learned today. I also learned a lot of very concrete examples, very much working with the SMEs. It was a lot of hard facts as well. So I think the beauty is really the combination between this enthusiastic can-do attitude that is being spread together with joining forces, but then also hard evidence that helps you translate project ideas also into fundable projects. And that all together, as we just heard before that, also with a little bit of gamification, which really then brings us to, I would say, being very optimistic that those ideas can be easily communicated, can be easily shared, and by that also instigate and inspire maybe completely different actions. So as I said, Adriana, I could go on and on, but I think that's not the place here. But thank you so much. Also, thank you very much for organizing this meeting and bringing all the panelists together. And to our panelists, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your learnings. I know I have taken a lot of notes. I assume that everybody has taken a lot of notes. So this is certainly a kind of a repertoire that is being handed over to others as well. So a big, big thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica. You can't imagine how happy you make me with your words. And I want to say the guidance that you gave, and you and your team, and in the beginning with Mr. Contius, you were always pushing the bar, the ambition, giving me this strategic. So it makes me really happy to see that we have met the expectation, that you have seen firsthand really the amazing partners, the energy, and that you have felt that, because yeah, that's really, you summarize it very well, the work of GO4SDGs. And the other big thank you is thank you for pushing this event to celebrate, because I think we are celebrating today this success. We couldn't really close it without this gathering. And so it's a collective achievement. And as you say, my last word is really to thank you, to thank all our partners, present today and many others that could not make it, but they are in the report. And I want to say again, just to Ayalo, Dorotea, Susan, Sergio, to Stella, to Beatriz, Mabel, Hannes, Titus, to Susan, Julia, Hugh, Nikki, Luis, Talita, to all of you, thank you for showing this work. And allowed me to invite my team to turn on the cameras. This was a fantastic team. I can say they are my family. I cannot believe that we only met once in person. So to David, Madina, Beatriz, Thomas, John Rang, Paulo, I'm so glad that you have joined us. I know you have left UNEP and he is here, so that shows the commitment to Sarah, Helen, Robert, and I don't see your cameras turning on. Almasi, Halan, to all of you, thank you so much. And of course, to all our partners here in UNEP and everybody here connected. So thank you so much. And with this, we wish you a wonderful afternoon, but just 2 things of homework. Please read the report and please stay connected because as Veronica say, this engagement, this cooperation has to continue and we have more glue to offer. So thank you so much.